This is ShadowQuant, Crypto Edition, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Friday, May 29, 2026, and this is the New York pre-market. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the recap. Pulse, you called bullish on Ethereum, wrong. The market went down. What's your adjustment this session?
I'm shifting focus. The divergence between Ethereum and Bitcoin isn't sustainable in a fear-driven market. I'm looking for a reversion to the mean.
Grid, you also called bullish on Ethereum, wrong. What's your new angle?
I'm reevaluating technical levels. Ethereum is above $1,980, but the volume isn't matching the price action. I'm hedging my bets.
CIPHER, you were also wrong on Ethereum. What's your new approach?
I'm focusing more on on-chain flows. Bitcoin dominance is rising, which suggests a flight to safety. I'm looking for a breakdown in Ethereum.
SPECTER, you were right on Bitcoin, but you've been bearish for 5 straight calls. What's your new strategy?
I'm not defaulting to bearish. I'm watching for signs of institutional buying. If Bitcoin breaks above $73,500, I'll reconsider.
Apex, you were wrong on Ethereum. What's your new take?
I'm focusing on macro factors. The Fed's stance is mixed and the VIX is stable. I'm not making a call without more clarity.
Let's start with the macro context. The Fear and Greed Index is at 14 extreme fear, up 12 points over 7 days. The VIX is at 16.29, down 0.72. Bitcoin futures demand is at 2024 lows. The top headlines include Iranian crypto outflows spiking 700% after U.S.-Israeli airstrikes and a CBDC ban in the U.S. Senate housing bill. What are your thoughts on these headlines?
These headlines are a double-edged sword. The Iranian outflows show a regional flight to crypto, but the CBDC ban could limit broader adoption. It's a mixed bag.
The fear is still high, but there's a glimmer of hope. The 12-point rise in fear and greed suggests that the market is starting to stabilize.
The headlines are a backdrop, but the real story is the technicals. Bitcoin is holding at $73,000, which is a key support level.
The on-chain data is also important. Bitcoin dominance is up 0.3%, which could signal a shift in investor sentiment.
The headlines are relevant, but the market is reacting to the macroeconomic factors. The Fed's mixed stance and the VIX's stability are key indicators.
Let's talk about Bitcoin. It's at $73,032, down 0.27%. What's your take on Bitcoin?
The key support level is at $73,000 and Bitcoin is holding there. However, the volume is down 18%, which suggests weak conviction. If Bitcoin breaks below $73,000, it could signal further weakness.
The on-chain data shows that Bitcoin dominance is up 0.3%, which suggests a flight to safety. However, the volume is still low, which could mean that the market is still in a risk-off mode.
The VIX is stable, but the Bitcoin futures demand is at 2024 lows. This suggests that the market is cautious. If Bitcoin breaks below $72,000, it could trigger a wave of profit-taking.
The key support level is at $73,000, but the volume is down. I'm looking for a retest of $72,500 before any potential breakout.
The sentiment is still in extreme fear, but there's a 12-point rise over 7 days. This could mean that the market is starting to stabilize, but it's still in a risk-off mode.
Now, let's move to Ethereum. It's at $1,992.59, up 0.44%. What's your take on Ethereum?
Ethereum is showing resilience above $1,980, which is a key psychological level. However, the volume is still low, which suggests that the rally is not backed by strong conviction. A break below $1,980 could signal a potential retest of $1,950.
The on-chain data shows that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, but the volume is still low. The decentralized finance TVL is stable at $12.7 billion, which suggests that there's still interest in the ecosystem.
The price action is positive, but the broader market is in extreme fear. This could mean that the rally in Ethereum is temporary. A break below $1,950 could signal a broader crypto sell-off.
The sentiment is still in extreme fear, but there's a 12-point rise over 7 days. This could mean that the market is starting to stabilize, but it's still in a risk-off mode.
The key level is at $1,980, but the volume is still low. I'm looking for a retest of $1,950 before any potential breakout.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on Ethereum. Let's dig into that.
I'm not convinced that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin in a risk-off market. The volume is still low, and the broader market is in extreme fear. I think the rally in Ethereum is temporary.
I agree that the volume is low, but the price is holding above $1,980. That's a key psychological level, and it could signal a potential breakout.
The problem is that the broader market is in extreme fear. If that continues, the rally in Ethereum could be short-lived.
The sentiment is improving, but it's still in extreme fear. The rally in Ethereum could be a sign of a shift in investor sentiment, but I'm not sure.
The key level is at $1,980, but the volume is still low. I think the rally in Ethereum is more about short-term momentum than long-term strength.
My 24-hour call, Ethereum bearish, target $1,950 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Ethereum bearish, target $1,950 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,500 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,500 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $72,500 by next session.
The consensus is that Bitcoin is in a bearish trend, with a target of $72,500. Ethereum is also showing signs of weakness, with a potential retest of $1,950. The market is in a risk-off mode, but there's a 12-point rise in fear and greed, which could signal a potential shift. Tomorrow, watch for Bitcoin to break below $72,500 and Ethereum to retest $1,950. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Crypto Edition. Stay tuned for the New York session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.